everyone, are we live? Let's see. That's better. Hi guys, it's me Jojo. Let me pop my headphones in actually so I can hear you all. Well, hear me and other things. Hey everyone, how are you all doing? We're going to be doing a fabulous chatter today with the incredible founder Millie of Human Beauty, which is so exciting. So I'm going to be doing this, and then you can find all my interviews and bits and bobs on the YouTube. So check out the links in all my description and bio. But I'm so excited to be chatting today. We're going to be talking all things makeup and inclusivity in the beauty world, I hope, and we'll see how it goes. Are you all okay today? How are you doing? I'm actually enjoying the sunshine, so I've not got any studio lights, but it might actually go down and then I might be in the dark, so I'm not quite sure what to do there. I think we'll leave it as it is. Right, let's see if I can invite the lovely Millie. How do we do this? Here we go. Plus. I think that's done right. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, lovely?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm actually enjoying the sunshine. It's like all the way in Brighton. It's just come gorgeous all of a sudden.
Nice. It's not too bad here, but definitely not sunshine.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on today and talking about your incredible brand, because we met because we worked together at the British Beauty Council, and we also had an event at British Beauty Week, which is that officially last year now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. But we had this incredible talk about all things inclusivity, and I got to know all about your brand. So could you do a little bit of an intro about you and all you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm founder of Human Beauty, but I was born with a rare condition that only affects around 2,000 people in the world. I've used makeup as a form of therapy and really believe in its transformational power to heal and allow you to embrace yourself. But I became really frustrated by the lack of representation and accessibility within the industry. So that's what inspired me to create Human Beauty. I did a placement year in product development for another beauty brand, so learned kind of the tricks of the trade. And then last year now I won a government grant, which has helped me to be able to launch all the products I have in the last year.
So when did you start the brand? Was it last year?
No, so it started all the way back in just before lockdown. I won a competition with Superdrug as their next face of the future. It had already been an idea and a concept. I actually met my mentor, who was on Dragon's Den, who started a beauty brand for men around his kind of experience with body dysmorphia. And so it's been in the works for years. And then, COVID happened. Nothing happened. Basically, I was still at uni, but officially launched our first product a year and a half ago, I think. Yeah.
My God, I was so amazed because you're so in detail with how you thought about the functions of everything you created. And I think particularly the mascara, and I ran out of the mascara, so I don't know if I've kept the sample that you gave me, but it's there somewhere anyway. But it's the actual packaging. There we go. Can we talk about how you designed it? Because that was brilliant. And when you were speaking about this at the event we did, I was thinking, that's just so it's so common sense, but it's things that we overlook when we design products.
Yeah, so it's matte and it's square. We've since rebranded, but the whole thing was that it's matte, it's tactile, the kind of lid has a little slant, so you know which is the end. But the main thing, it's square. So again, I always talk about incremental innovation. It's square, so if you knock it over, it won't roll on the floor, which is great for people with mobility issues, but also if you're just clumsy or you're doing your makeup on the train. Accessible design is good for everyone, which is something I preach about all the time. And then the applicator has a ball on the end, which is omnidirectional, so you can apply mascara not just this kind of the usual way. We've had people with really reduced mobility who can't do this apply mascara this way, but I always say actually applying mascara, I used to use the end of all my mascaras, when your eyelashes clump together, that kind of thing. I always used it that way anyway. So again, another example of kind of innovation that helps everyone, not just people with mobility issues.
Absolutely. And I think like for me, like to give a little bit of my personal history, around 2015 and 16, I was a victim of an assault and I couldn't see out of my left eye for a year and a half. And I was one of those kids that grew up with makeup. I was an internet kid that just was diving into makeup. I never thought anything would stop my ability to paint accurately. And I was one of these people that was on YouTube when it started doing these incredible fine art illustrations on my face. And then when that happened and I lost the ability to do everything I could before, I was like in such a panic, like a real freak out moment about like how I could get back those things. And it made me start to assess like how all the shapes of the products aren't, they're not useful when you're in that situation. When I was looking up close, I couldn't focus, I couldn't see at all, I couldn't see color changes. And like things like even the way that you've labeled things or that you've used QR codes to really identify people that can't see. I mean, when you were explaining that, I was like, oh my God, where were you? And thankfully my eyes healed. But at the time, it would have been a lifesaver
Yeah.
for me. So even the names, Liquid Confidence in the mascara name. So how did you think about all these like accessibility obstacles, and especially with the palette, which I've got here with this fabulous QR code on the back?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, as you said, like we put all of the neutrals and all the mattes in one area, all the shimmers in one line, all the like brights in one line. We also tried to do it from light to dark, so it's, you know, in a order that makes sense, because most brands just do what looks pretty, when it can still look pretty. I always say, you know, accessibility doesn't have to be boring. It can be cute and like look good. But I don't know, I thought about what affects me, and also I always say ask people what they want, what they need, what their problems are, and then I try to kind of incorporate it. You know, not every product is going to be suitable, accessible for everyone. I try and do as much as I can, but it's like art and makeup anyway. For anyone, it's a subjective thing, but
Yeah.
I try and think of as many things as possible. And all of my products are anti-roll, so like our blush sticks are heart shaped, so again they won't roll on the floor. They're easier to hold because they're kind of chunky and they've got a little kind of dip in them, but again, cute and accessible. And yeah, the QR code was really important. I've also got it on the back of our new Froggy palette. But you know, I had someone message me saying I'm colorblind. So, you know, when my partner's away, I don't know which one's blue, which one's purple. And there are so
Yeah.
many, it started off for people who are visually impaired and blind, but actually it has so many other uses. And it's also just a YouTube video. So if you just want to go and have a look at me swatching them in daylight under studio lights, you also can do that. It's not just an audio description.
Oh, it's genius. And I love the fact as well, because when I first started and I tried to develop my first products around 2012, and I used to glue them into a notepad like this. So when I saw yours, I was like, oh my God, this is so nostalgic. And it looks so cute. And I like the fact that it's chunky as well. And you don't feel like it's, because a lot of the palettes that people have been doing are like very tiny. They're like very like small quarter size palettes with tiny things in, and they're just not functional if you've got any type of impairment. And I love the fact as well that this is recyclable, I
Yeah.
guess. So it's like it's also sustainable in the design. So tell me about this Froggy collection, because this I've not seen yet. I want to learn all about it.
Yeah, so it's called Match Your Mood,
Oh,
and it was co-designed with an amazing autistic queer artist who has a stationery company. Their company's called Fuzzy Art
oh,
Designs, and they
oh.
create communication key rings for kind of autistic people who are non-verbal, or, you know, if you just can't communicate too well, it's something you can use these as emotions. So we have our surprised frog, our hungry frog, our silly frog, tired, sleepy, anxious, sad, happy, angry, or frustrated. And the whole campaign was around using color and makeup to express your mood. And a lot of we had a photo shoot and video kind of shoot with 5 autistic models, and it was amazing how they all used color differently, but all did use color to express their mood, or sometimes when they didn't know what they were feeling, color really helped. And this is the palette, so it's super reflective.
Oh, they're beautiful.
It can be used on your face and eyes, so I kind of use it as highlighter. So
Oh, they're amazing.
They're super, super shimmery. I'm
I'm gonna
a
order
MAC
one.
fi. I'm
Yeah,
a
I'm gonna
MAC
order
fi.
one.
And also 30% of the profits go to a charity called Heart and Soul, which
Yeah.
is a charity that's run by autistic people and people with learning difficulties. They put on club nights, they put on like art nights and stuff for autistic people, and also money's going to the artist who helped design it as well.
Oh my God, that's so dope. So, like, when you started with makeup, like, who were your inspo when it came to like makeup? Did you have like people like Pat McGrath, or was it more like the social media side of things? Like, who were those people for you?
Yeah, so I think that was part of the reason, because the beauty community, I was obsessed, but it wasn't necessarily a good
Yeah.
obsession. So, I met Manny MUA and Jeffree
Hmm.
Star when I was about 15.
Hmm.
And my mum banned me from saying their name in the house because I was that obsessed with it. I actually met them, and then it kind of changed my whole kind of obsession, let's say. But I loved the 2016 YouTube was very me.
Hmm.
But I didn't feel that was kind of when I was desperate to fit in, and I was never doing my crazy makeup. I didn't have colorful hair. I was told by my friends that I couldn't have colored hair because only my friend would rock that, not me. I wasn't able to have colored hair, like bright colored
Oh.
hair. So it was something I was obsessed with, and the warm toned eyeshadows, like Laura Lee was like a big influence, but that was kind of it was a good influence, but also the drama that surrounded the beauty industry back then.
Mm.
It wasn't very inclusive, let's say.
I know. Well, I was with the same manager as Manny and Patrick, so we were all bit together to work at the first BeautyCon in Dallas around 2015. And when I got there, I just felt like I was so outside of my comfort zone because they were so on the ball with how to generate the views of things instead of from my era, which was the era before. It was like we didn't have the same sensationalism around the content. It was if you did that, you wouldn't get booked,
Mm.
and like it just came as a bit of a surprise around 2015 because everything shifted and people came from Instagram and then went on to YouTube. But they almost like made their own viral moments happen. Like a lot of the stuff that they, not to spill all the tea because I know all the tea, but they were the PR company that worked with YouTube tried to orchestrate viral moments for a lot of them, but
Right.
they weren't organic in how they reached that amount of people. It was actually through the PR. And it's brilliant because they were trying to plug Naima Tan when Fenty came out in the same way. And my lovely friend John McClane was doing the lightest shade of foundation. Her thing was the darkest shade of foundation. And he swept up all the benefit of the PR. So it
Right.
kind of like it's been interesting to watch how it all works because they've kind of like I think a lot of the people from that generation now they've come out and said like they built their own brands but they don't make any money from those brands and it's an interesting dynamic. It's very interesting, but it's funny because what did you think about like when you first started to see makeup artists express themselves online? Because I think that's the beauty of social media because it pushed past those gatekeepers in so many ways. I mean, do you think that the industry's now changed for the better?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think you have control on who you follow and whether you want to. That's definitely what I've changed in the last couple of years, is following the content that is healthy to see and the people who I would say are real and for me that I can relate to, because following people that don't look like me or kind of push a narrative that I can't keep up with or is bad for my mental health has been really game changing, because there are people out there, they might be smaller or whatever, and I've just changed the way I consume content a lot.
Yeah. I think that's such a thing that everyone started to really assess after the lockdown when we were all stuck with our phones and things. But like I'm so fascinated by how you've done all the beautiful images where you've done shade ranges and things and the people you've chosen to be in your campaigns because it's not this artificial. I remember back in the day when they did like the Max Factor Masterpiece mascara adverts and the eyes weren't even real, the lashes weren't even real, and it's like it was all artifice, which I loved at the time because I'm a computer game junkie and I like all that CGI, but yours is so real and it's a representation of what people really look like today. So how
Yeah.
did you go about like the visuals that you associate with your brand?
Well, it was always really important to represent society. Like, I found that brands, even though they were being inclusive, they were still having inclusivity, but models that look like supermodels, which, you know, the everyday consumer. I'm not a disabled beauty brand. I'm a brand for everyone. And the everyday consumer can't relate to, like, you know, Winnie Harlow is stunning.
Yes.
But she's still she's got vitiligo, but she's still a supermodel. So it was really important for that. And my first ever campaign, which I fully self-funded, and I did spend a lot of money on getting some models through Zebedee, because it was really important for me to represent people that I may not have around me. A lot of the people in the campaign were friends. You know, my friend Nan was in it. She was an icon. She used to model for Vogue, and she was in her 70s. So we had, like, and I was really proud of that campaign. It didn't get the attention I think it deserved, because, you know, I launched with 13 models. Our youngest was 19, our oldest was 75. We had every part of the rainbow represented, and we had lots of disability representation. For me, it was so important to have a model who was tube fed, because I was tube fed till I was 18, and it was something I was so insecure about, and I hid, and I didn't have any kind of representation. So that was like a huge one. But and all races. We had my friend who wore a hijab, and, you know, it's those, like, not just disability is left out. It is the largest minority that's left out, but also, you know, religion and things like that. So it was just really important for me to get as many people as I can. And like with our autism acceptance campaign, I did a call out to see, you know, if the community wanted to be involved and wanted to try and get with a smaller campaign, because 13 models in 4.5 hours was absolute chaos. But it's just trying to represent as much as society. And, you know, if I can do it on self-funding, then these big brands can. It's just they don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know if you experienced this when you were doing a bit of the push out for the launch of the campaign, but when I was working with Jekka Black, which we designed together based on my original Boy to Girl tutorials to help trans people. So the products were like a beard coverage and color correction and contouring to combat gender dysphoria. And we went around all of the bit. We had a phenomenal PR lady called Laura, and she took us to, like, all the publications. And when I spoke to them and I said, where is the representation, not just for trans people, but where are the other types of intersection of society that we don't see? And they said to me, nearly all of them said, we're scared of the backlash we will get if we print it wrong. And I said, well, do you not think that it's worth getting it wrong to get it right? And they were like, yes. And then, like, they started to kind of get their head around, you don't have to be scared of it. But I found this with every conversation in the industry, because there's still I think because there's such a lack of people employed within these positions that have the same sort of intersection as you, or the same sort of protected characteristic as you, they don't know enough about it to be confident in what they're saying. And it's just that fear that I've had such a struggle trying to overcome. And I don't know if you've seen the same thing. I mean, like, that's the brilliance. I've seen how amazing you are since you've been working in the British Beauty Council. I'm always on my phone trying to, like, tune in when I'm running around, but this is what we need to do, this is how we do it.
No, it's lots of people are scared, not just beauty, within corporate, and people make mistakes, but they need to hire people, or, like, not even hire, but you know, I'm now starting a consultancy, because if brands hire a person or an influencer as a consultant, like, I know a beauty brand who hired a beauty influencer to consult on their foundation range, shade range, specifically the darker range shade.
Right.
And that's how you do it, because, like, if you don't ask and you just do what you think is right, or that you've seen online, people are so scared that actually it's going the other way. And, like, for example, the word disabled, I've seen so many different versions of disabled from corporates. Like, Boots Boots put a big sign saying less abled parking recently, and it blew up. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with the word disabled, but I think someone in their team had seen something that said, oh, we can't use the word disabled. But it's about asking and, like, learning. Like, I've had things blow up on LinkedIn that I thought I was being accessible with my website with a widget, and it blew up like 80,000 impressions overnight, and people saying, oh, this isn't right. But it's all about how you react to it. And, you know, with my autism acceptance campaign, I made sure I spoke to the people within the community who are advocating for themselves. And they said, look, you're never going to get it right, because one autistic person is going to say this is right and another autistic person is going to say something else. And you are going to divide people even within their own community. So you can do as best as you can, and then it's how you react to those things that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to give people the space to explore it in their own terms, I think. It's like, and it is a challenge. Like, I can't even imagine, like consultants, we have to have a chat privately about the consultancy. That sounds so amazing, because that's the missing link, I think. Because I think even when you talk to HR departments with some of these brands, and I've done a lot with tech brands in the last 2 years, they don't even have like anyone that's remotely about what they want to talk about that works within their company. And you're like, well, should we try and change that? Should we try and bring people in? Maybe if your company looks completely like the same type of person, maybe bring in some guest speakers, or I don't know, like just a site, affiliate yourself with certain charities that can send you a network link, or whatever the situation is. But what do you think we need to do next? Because we've seen so many people, and I think it's come from brands like yours that are from true experience of wanting to change into the better. What do you think we need to progress with next, and what's most important?
Um, I think brands need to bring in people that they, you know, that they want to focus on, and even just like brands who engage with customers. As like I did like for I think it was a lingerie brand, they did a call out to their customers and said, look, we want to do a focus group of all disabled consumers, or a focus group on POC consumers. And, you know, if you spend your time with us and give us feedback, very honest feedback, we'll give you free product, basically.
Oh,
And that is a great way to engage your community, or the community you want to design for, and also rewarding your loyal customers.
mhm.
And it's not hard to do that. And I just think thinking about inclusivity and accessibility and diversity as a wider picture. Like, I talk about accessibility not just from product design, not just from representation, but like your website, the cost of your products, because brands are bringing out accessible products because it's becoming the next frontier of inclusivity. But they're coming out with products that cost so much money, and 53% of disabled people are unemployed, and it's probably going to get worse than that. And even those who are employed, it costs so much more to live as a disabled person than an able-bodied person. So it's all about engaging and, you know, thinking about a product from a 360 point of view, not just from saying, oh yeah, our product's accessible. And honestly, I want to set a new standard for accessibility. That's like my future, my next steps. I'm going to set, you know, a new leaping bunny, but for accessibility, basically.
Oh, I love that. There was a brand that I wanted to show you whilst I had you. That's called. I think I spoke to you about it before. It's Guide Beauty by Terry Bryan, and she made it because she developed multiple sclerosis. I can't even say the word, MS.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, there's like so much that like you just think. I've never seen a brush like that, but it does have like mobility, and like your brand and her brand have made me think about, like, when I work with brands and design products, like, am I thinking about how things can roll away? And what do you think, like, the products that cause the most issues are? Because I find that eyeliners need to be thought about again. I think the idea of a pen is a very difficult thing if you've only got half your vision working, or if you've got unstable hands. And there's like challenges in this that I'm fascinated by. But do you have anything that you think is like particularly like it needs to be sorted? Because I know you also have lip products, which you've not spoken about. Talk about those too.
Yeah, so we've got our lip oil. I don't actually have one that's called branding next to me, but it's again square. But I'm looking at even better ways to make it more accessible, like squeezy tubes. Yeah, squeezy tubes and things. But again, it won't roll away. But I'm looking at things that you don't need to open at all. Or like, I had a customer reach out and be like, I love lipstick, but they don't actually have any fingers at all. So once they've taken the lid off, what do they do with the lid? So there's you know, things like that. Having multi-use products. Eyeliner, I don't use eyeliner because I can't make it look good, and my eyes are very sensitive. But thinking of things like stencils, you know, there's other things that it's just thinking outside the box from the usual product. And again, like, I don't have L'Oreal money, because if you want to create a brand new mold of a product,
Oh,
it costs
it's ridiculous.
£40,000 for a mold, you know.
Yes, yes.
So, and like, I did a TikTok video with this craft stamp I bought from Lidl, and it's like a hole puncher but with different shapes in it, and I just got some label paper and I used that as eyeliner and stencils on my face. So it's thinking kind of outside the box, and you know, it doesn't have to, people don't want things that takes ages, you know. It's all about convenience, I think, when talking about accessibility, and having things that you can use on your eyes, lips and cheeks.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love all the new products that are coming out that are sort of like texture and sensory and almost like jelly-like blush sticks or like things like that. Do you remember back in the day there was those things called spider pens and you could squeeze them out and they'd be like dripping and you could create like lines, patterns. I was thinking about doing something to do with that like once upon a time, but I thought maybe that would get like crazy around the face. I don't know.
Yeah, because I've tested so many products, to be honest, like stamp pens and stuff, again, to make, you know, do crazy creative makeup with minimal effort. But there's nothing that I've found that I've been like, yes, this is perfect. Like, again, like felt tips, they dry out, and like with
Yeah,
eyeliners, they dry out, and I don't want to bring out products that people have to keep buying all the time.
right.
So, but yeah, there's so that I'm just trying to test so much. But if I had all the money in the world, there are so many ideas I have that I could like create from scratch.
Yes.
Um,
It's so exciting. I love seeing everything you're working on next. So where do you retail at the moment? Are you strictly through your website or do you have partner brands? Like, tell me all.
yeah, so mainly through our website. We are on the Superdrug Marketplace, but not many people know that, and most of our sales come through socials, to be honest,
Yeah.
and directly to our website. I'm trying to get into other retailers and like online and stuff, with no luck yet. But you know, I'm being noticed, which is really good. In the last kind of month or so, you know, I've had people, not retailers, but people reach out, and I'm being kind of featured on like insight and trend websites, industry insight and trend websites. So I think it's only a matter of time, but I do really want to get it out there. And at the moment, I'm just trying to make my products as affordable as possible, do discounts and stuff, because I want to get my product out there and get them into the hands of people so they can try it. Because the best thing is I'm now noticing people coming back 4th, 5th, 6th time and being like proper brand advocates, which is like the best feeling, really.
I think it's so you make people feel like they're being seen. And I think that's what's amazing about every aspect of what you've done. Because it's not just you've made these great products, you've made people feel comfortable using them. And like I go back to even like the names of the colours in the palettes. They're all like really like inspiring names, like from confidence to proud to
Yeah.
creativity. How did you choose all of these colours? And are you working on any other palettes? Like I know you've got the gorgeous glittery frogs, but what about other bonds like this?
Yeah, so our palette actually hasn't done very well. I have a lot of them and we haven't sold many.
Oh.
It's probably been our worst selling product. Like our blushes and our lip done the best. I don't know if it's just people aren't really that's the era of makeup we're in or what, but I have a lot of these palettes at home, so I'm not working on a huge palette. That's why I did a smaller shimmer only. But like, I love this palette. It's the only, like, if you look at how well loved this palette is. And like, I wanted names that also made you feel good when you used it, and like the, you know, community identity. It was the shades of the I just blanked trans flag.
Yeah.
So it was things like that. I wanted people to feel heard and seen, and also, you know, I've had an influencer take my palette into hospital with her, and she was saying, you know, just reading the, you know, the shades, it's almost like an affirmation in eyeshadow.
Yeah.
But no, I'm working on like some festival stuff coming out and things like that. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. Eyeshadow palettes haven't been the one for me yet, and I have a lot of them in my, because we've rebranded since our mascara and our
Hmm.
eyeshadow palette. We're much more pink now.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
at the time, I don't know, I was going for a very different vibe. Even though pink was me, I just wanted to stand out because it was either pink or black. That was basically the in between. So I chose this kind of rich green. We've still got it featured in our products. Like our logo is now fuchsia and blue. But yeah, so I one day want to do. I've got like this palette, but no one's ever seen this before, but I've got it in like
Oh.
the reverse. So
Oh. Oh, fabulous.
the plan was always to do like a volume 2, and yeah, have it as reverse, and like all of these come with like a coloring page in it and stuff. But yeah, it just hasn't done as well as I would have loved it to.
Interesting, interesting. Maybe I'll send you an idea I've had, but we'll talk offline.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite products to use on yourself? Are you a more of a color person or a skincare person? Like, what's your like? I know you said at British Beauty Week, the mascara is obviously the confidence boosting
Yeah.
fabulousness.
Yeah. Well, I've been wearing a lot less. I'm pretty barefaced. I've just got my lip oil and some blush, and we've got a highlighter shade, so I've got that on, which is super pretty. It's like a golden highlighter.
Oh, I love it.
But because my skin's been so bad recently, I don't know what is going on. I'm kind of got eczema and psoriasis all in my hair, all in my eyebrows. But I'm a pink eyeshadow sparkle girly all the way. Like even when I say I'm going to do a neutral look, it always ends up pink and having glitter everywhere. Basically, like I'm still in 2016 makeup, to be honest. Like I'm much more of I don't do makeup by halves really. I'm always wearing a full face of makeup.
I don't know if it's not that I lost my confidence, but I think after I did go through my eye injury, I never went back because everything after my injury kind of changed because I didn't have a beard at all before. And I don't know if it triggered my cortisol levels or just whatever happened as a result of the injury, but I never went back to wearing amazing colourful makeup. I'm so lazy at the moment. It's like I really need to get back to doing like things like more like crazy looks because I used to go out in the most ridiculous looks when I was younger. I was like I look like a geisha sometimes, and I'd be a vampire the next day. I'd be just a lunatic. But
yeah, I mean, I always have my go-to. It's like the pink shade in the crease, and like that's why I love like this palette with the shimmers, because I can just with my finger put it all over and I'm instantly sparkly, put it on my cheek, and I can do a full face of like pink shimmery makeup in 10 minutes probably. And you know, using my little stencils and stuff, I add some stars, also add some hearts just by tapping eyeshadow, and it takes 60 seconds.
oh my god,
Because
I can imagine that for Pride.
I always say to people, like, they're like, oh, I don't like, I've been doing talks at like Nadex and stuff talking about makeup, and people are like, oh, I don't have the energy or I don't have the time. I was like, it doesn't have to take time. Like, I like sitting down and I could spend 2-3 hours doing my makeup, but that's just because I've got a drink and like, before going out, it's a ritual and therapy.
Yeah.
But if I need to, I can get out the door quickly.
Yes, of course, but that makes sense. I'm just envisioning all those beautiful colours and like a Pride, gorgeous look for Pride. Yes, they'd be so cool.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, where can we find a bit? What is the website? Because I won't take up too much of your time. We can find you at humanbeauty.co.uk. Is that right?
Yeah, and then just on our TikTok and Instagram, it's the same handle, Human Beauty LDN London.
I can't get over how wonderful the products are, and thank you so much for coming on live and chatting to me. We're doing other bits in the background, but it was good to speak live. But thank you, my lovely.
Thank you so much. It was lovely speaking.
Oh, thank you. Are you okay with me posting this everywhere? Yeah. I can put it on everything else.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll speak to you via DM soon.
I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye, hon.